I guess. Yeah, okay, we're live. I'm not even gonna wait. I'll just get straight into it. Today, I want to talk about what's going on in Yemen. Yemen is facing one of the largest humanitarian crises in our lifetime. Doesn't matter how long you've been alive. In certain aspects, at least, it is the worst humanitarian crisis, and you're about to see why. So, in Yemen right now, there has been a civil war going on in the country for years now between the Houthi rebels, which are citizens that oppose the government that was propped up by Saudi Arabia and the US. And after political instability and fighting, the war rages on years later. So, the US has actually been funding Saudi Arabia. I mean, that's not a secret. We just did a $110 billion arms deal with them, and that money gets spent somewhere. It's not like they just buy a bunch of ammo and stockpile all of it. There's a lot of campaigns the Saudis are involved in that are terrible. So, as a result from all the bombs dropped on villages and cities, infrastructure, hospitals, and even a school for the blind, the result is you have water leaking into sewers, drinking water gets contaminated, food supplies run out, and cholera, which is a bacterial infection caused by Vibrio cholerae, I think, is no joke. And it's infected over 500,000 people in Yemen this year alone. So it's spread through contact with contaminated fecal matter and water and food. 78% of the total cholera deaths have occurred in Houthi-controlled territory. So obviously, since we're supporting the pro-government regime, we're going to be dropping bombs on the people who don't have much money, don't have many resources, or already lost power, access to water, food, yada yada. 10.4% of cases are in government-controlled areas. So that just shows you the difference in how the money is being allocated, where the bombings are occurring, and who is being targeted by the United States. So, in addition to the bombing campaign, Saudi Arabia has also imposed naval blockades to basically starve out the whole country of Yemen. And they're unable to receive food, supplies, water, chlorine, fuel, humanitarian aid, a lot of things that are essential for treating cholera, which basically dehydrates your body. The bacteria, I believe it gets into your gut and absorbs all the liquid. So what happens, or it expels all the liquid. So it flushes it all out of your system, so you're constantly vomiting, having diarrhea, sweating, and you're unable to take in new fluids. And the treatment for it is not very complicated. It's usually just intense fluid through an IV or something like that. There are some antibacterial medications that do exist, but they're harder to come by, and especially with the naval blockade, almost impossible to find. Even though it's very easily treatable, it's also very deadly. It can kill you within hours if you're not treated properly. This is because when you get so dehydrated, you go into something called hypovolemic shock when your body loses so much water. This is what people on the Oregon Trail died from. If you ever played that game in elementary school, the Oregon Trail, you'll know what I'm talking about. You'll always die for some bullshit reasons, like Mary fucking fell off the wagon, got gout, and then you got cholera and your whole family died before you ever get to Oregon. It's bullshit. But I digress. So, not only is all this terrible shit happening, going on with cholera outbreak, the naval blockade has also imposed one of the largest famines in the world right now. 7 million people are at risk of starving. So naturally, since the US is the world police and we're altruistic and we're always looking out for the greater good, we're on our ball to go and help them, right? You just don't get it, do you? We can look the other way when we make a buck off of it, because we're selling arms to the Saudis. Fuck it, whatever. Kill the Yemenis. We don't care as long as we get paid. We did a $110 billion arms deal with Saudi Arabia. For the last 4 decades, our government's been in bed with the Salafist Wahhabist regime of extremists who believe the same shit as ISIS. The same fundamental ideology as ISIS. They live by Sharia law, and we are sponsoring them. We are the biggest sponsors of terrorism in the world. I know that might be a hard pill for some people to swallow, but it's about goddamn time you swallowed it, because it's the truth. We are just... This is so sad, so fucked up, and it would be as easy as telling the Saudis, either you leave and you stop this naval blockade, or we stop giving you any international aid, we stop giving you any arms, we stop doing any business with your country whatsoever. You're cut off. That's what a real human behind the podium, or behind the desk in the Oval Office, would say. We need leadership that will pull us out of these quagmires, these wars, these proxy wars, these occupations. At any time, any given time, there's at least 7 military operations taking place. We have 900 military bases across the world that we spend over $600 billion a year on our military to upkeep all of this stuff, but we can't get education. We spend $400 billion more on our military than number 2, which is China. We talk about, you know, terrorism being the greatest threat to Americans. That's bullshit. Absolute bullshit. The greatest threat to Americans is health care related. It's when people can't afford to, you know, get cancer treatment. They'll end up dying. You know, even with the Obamacare, it's set up in such a way that some people really do get the short end of the stick, aren't able to get their coverage, and they'll just pass away rather than pass on the financial burden to their offspring, or some people just don't want to have to deal with it in the first place. And it's a fucking sad situation when we can afford to kill and starve a whole country of people that we have no reason to be there. I mean, what the fuck did Yemen do to us? The answer is nothing. We need to stop the American empire now. God, I'm getting so sick of covering these stories, but you only know it's going to get worse. So if you want to hear more about doom and gloom, like my page, like my YouTube channel, share, comment, subscribe, you know the rest, and I'll see you fuckers later. Peace out. Finish, motherfucker.